know, we had a snatched operator, roadblocks, closing down the main highway, and I was a top gunner at the time. Lads are on the roads, they're looking for all the cars, and then all of a sudden, this car pulls out right at the back. So like, right, fire some shots at this car. He's got this red light coming towards him, hitting the windscreen. He's not stopping. So I get up, hide the jimpy, I'm up and I'm ready to go.
You're going against some serious people who've done some scrapping and all.
Yeah, these guys were ready.
You know
Nobody's telling me anything. And as I turned around, there was an AK-47 pointing right at me.
Welcome to the debrief where this week I have former four-para. Yeah? Former four-para turned actor, Alex Mason. How are you, mate? You all right?
Very well, Phil, yeah.
Thanks for coming. Listen, this is the debrief, right? It's my podcast. And what I do is I'm going to debrief your life. So I'm going to get right into everything I can. So I'm going to start off with small Alex. You're from Scotland?
Yes, Scotland, yeah. I was Edinburgh. Grew up in Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, lovely place, Edinburgh, isn't it?
It was, yeah. It was a little bit of the rough side of Edinburgh, like Wester Hills area side when I was growing up, yeah. And I mean, I wasn't there very long, and then we moved to Manchester.
Oh, okay.
I was like 5 years old, yeah. Little Alex was probably quite a spoiled brat, to be honest, right? And
what did mum and dad do?
Like just my mum, just me and my mum.
Okay.
Yeah, so for
Dad
my whole life,
or just
never,
no,
never. No, it's.
Do you know him?
Nope.
No. Okay.
I don't,
right,
mate, honestly,
right.
no. Like it's been one of those things where I've just grew up in that very young age with just me and my mum.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What did mum do?
She was working in retail.
Oh, okay.
I believe, yeah, she was working in retail, and I'd have like babysitters go to the creches and stuff.
Yeah.
But life was great. Life was great then.
So Manchester, do you remember Manchester? What was Manchester like as a kid?
So for me, Manchester, when we moved, I was kind of like, you know what it's like at that age. It's out of your control.
Because you've still got a really strong accent for someone who's sort of like went almost straight to Manchester.
Yeah, I mean, we're only in Manchester and that for about 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So, and then we moved back.
All right.
Yeah, my life predominantly was Scotland.
Okay.
And yeah, it was like moving down to sort of the Manchester area at like 5, and then was down there. It was kind of alien, I think, for me at first. I was the Scottish kid in Manchester. And going to school, you know? And I remember
that ginger hair as well. You'd have proper got it, wouldn't you?
Exactly, yeah, I did. So it was a bit reddish back then, actually. So I definitely stood out a bit like a sore thumb back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, life was good, and then I'd say when we moved down, things started to change a little bit. The dynamics, it was just me and my mum, and then I very much life started to get tough, man.
Yeah.
At that point, I would say, yeah.
In Manchester, or
it wasn't because we moved to Manchester. It was just because I would say life started to evolve a bit.
Okay.
And my mum, a partner came along, and sort of a couple of years was fine, but then it started to get a bit tough, a bit challenging for me as a child.
Okay.
There was a bit of abuse going on at home.
From
the stepdad.
Okay, so there's a stepdad on the scene.
Stepdad's
all too familiar story, to be honest, but yeah.
It became really challenging, you know.
Okay.
Young sort of spoiled Alex became like, there's something else in line now, and you need to get used to it and get used to it quick. And
was he giving you a little clip now and again? Was he?
It was all forms. It was tough, man. It was about, I'd say, a lot of psychological, a lot of emotional, physical as well.
Because when you're young, and I've been through the same thing myself. Do you know what I mean? You're surprised, just the funny look at the dinner table can ruin your whole day, can't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
A lot of it was don't speak unless you're spoken to.
Yeah. What did he do?
He was this is where the military came in, because he didn't really do much. I think he was a bit of a window cleaner. He spoke a lot about things that he'd done, which became untrue. But he would always tell the neighbours.
He wasn't a walk. Tell me he wasn't on the balcony. Tell me he wasn't on the balcony.
Unfortunately, it was a bit of a walk. And that's what instilled my wants later on in life to do something with the military.
Okay.
He would tell the neighbours he was SF, he was a Marine, Para. All three.
We've done the lot. Yeah.
And
I shouldn't laugh, but yeah.
No, see now, looking back on it, I've had some really challenging conversations, and I think family relationship has been strained because of that. But like now, it's like I feel maybe I should just talk about it.
Is he still on the scene?
He's locked up forever, pretty much, because of an incident that occurred. He did something pretty brutal to somebody and it got him life. Yeah, it was horrendous. Horrendous story.
It must have been pretty honking to get locked up for life.
It was, and he was a pretty horrible individual. You know, I remember little comments like, "I'm going to damage you in places no one will ever know. I can hit you here because you won't bruise."
Yeah, that's pretty calculated, isn't it? That, you know, I mean, how old are you then when he's saying stuff like that?
8, 9.
Yeah, because you read into that, don't you? You know, that makes you scared, doesn't it? When you're scared as a kid, and I've been there. When you're scared as a kid, it's a horrible feeling, isn't it?
It was pretty horrible.
The people that you're supposed to be able to put your trust in, are telling you they're going to smack your guts. Yeah, basically, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? It's going to hurt.
And as well, I think for me, it just came out of nowhere. You know, like.
What did your mum think about all this? Did she pick up on it at all?
I think she was in survival mode.
Okay.
Because
did he give her a clap?
I would imagine so. Like for me, Phil, it's like when you drive home, and you get home, and then you suddenly like, how did I get home? You know, when you're driving and your brain's on autopilot. A lot of my childhood is a bit like that. I can't fathom certain times. I spoke to my mum briefly about it not long ago, and it was like, what happened here and there? Like, what was going on? And then we were chatting. It's like, well, we moved 4 times in 13 months. You know, we were constantly up and about, and she must have found it so challenging. And I think for her, tough. You know, as a person now, I don't know what was happening with her or how she was.
So it's all a bit of a blur, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I only know what my perception of what that was at certain times, and she worked damn hard. Like she was working hard all the time. She was. I work a lot. And just be able to provide, because I believe that she was pretty much that breadwinner at that time. So she was out working all the time.
He was pretty much having it.
And he was at home. Yeah,
doing it.
Yeah, mad. Things that come out when you grow up and you realise and you think about it, like, I can't believe that happened. And it's like, I can't believe certain things were going on and it's taken so long to.
Did it have an impact at school? Did people not pick up on it at school, or did they just? Because my behaviour radically changed at school. Yeah, what was going on, and it was just, no, he's a naughty twat. Like, do you know what I mean? Because that was the default setting in them days, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he's naughty.
I think primary school, I was quiet, timid. Didn't really have much friends. I was on my own, and then high school was like, for me, time to play, because I didn't get time to mess around at home and go out and socialise as such. So school for me was, I get to go and see some people. I get to maybe do some PE. I enjoy PE because I was getting to like play football and things that I wasn't really getting to do when I was at home as much. So I got very much into that. Alex is a bit of a naughty child because he's a class clown. And really for me, class clown was, this is my time to have friends.
This is where I can actually relax a little bit, put my guard down, not worry about getting my guts kicked in.
Exactly. It's like where I felt kind of I can be a bit free here, and at the same time challenging though, because it's like you always feel like you're hiding something. You always feel like there's stuff going on at home that no one's going to know about, and I can't talk about it. And that's how I felt. Like I'm keeping this secret.
Did you ever feel you could talk to your mum about it, or was it? I've
never felt like I talked to my mum about it, Phil. To be honest, and I do genuinely think that she'll be upset to hear what I've got to say. To be honest with you, and it would probably be tough for our relationship for her to hear my side of events, because maybe she's not fully aware of my side of events.
Are you still close there?
We are close, and we try to maintain it, but it can be challenging. Arguments can arise, you know, like
because
get
of
a bit heated.
The obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, right, tip that on its head slightly and look at it from mother's perspective, and I'm not being the agony aunt here.
No, of course.
She probably feels a little bit of guilt.
Yeah.
And that will sometimes manifest in a way that it will be like, ugh, do you know what I mean? Well, I'll stick the barriers up there because then the questions won't keep coming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in my experience, sometimes it's easier to sit down and tell you what, let's just throw the cards on the table. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because this is the way I feel about your mum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And I've always wanted to be able to do that. But it's never happened. You bring something up and it's just like shouting match. But off here we go.
Mum, I'm coming round as well next time. All right.
Exactly. A bit of a mediator is needed, I think. And I've got 3 brothers as well, who are
all of a similar age,
very close age. So you're looking at right now. You've got 21, 20, 19.
Were they getting the same sort of treatment you were, buddy, old man?
So they're his sons. I was the only one that
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
his
So
son.
you really were
Yeah.
you were the proverbial ginger stepchild.
I was literally the sore thumb in the family.
Yeah.
Mate.
You were the yeah. Oh dear.
But even now, I think things have come out where,
Did you get on with them?
yeah, I'm trying so hard to make sure that they know that I'm there for them 100%.
Okay.
I'll always be there for them. And that if they ever needed to talk, that's exactly where I am, And they often do say, like, everything that's gone on with you, you're a right good role model for us because we follow.
Are they younger than you, are they?
Yeah, so 10 years gap.
Oh, wow, okay. All right, so
Yeah.
quite younger than you.
Yeah,
Right.
quite a bit. I mean, my youngest brother, so I'm 32, he'll be 20, coming 22.
Okay.
20, just
So
turned
it's still
22.
impressionable as well. We're young and impressionable.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I'm a big advocate for them to make sure they're happy. Do what they need to do to be happy.
Honestly, that's priorities, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think because I was removed from the household
Yeah.
at a certain point in childhood, put
What happened
into
to you?
sort of care.
Okay.
I ran away. I jumped out a window and ran,
Yeah.
and disappeared. And we're living in a top floor flat as well. So basically, an incident happened, and that was me. I made the choice.
Can you say what the incident was?
My perception is what I would be saying. Well, I got picked up by the phone at a radiator, and
So the old man
yeah,
went a bit too
came in.
far for.
It was horrendous. It honestly
Yeah.
was. It was like I had a bolt on the outside of my bedroom door, and I'd get locked in the room. I was treated like a prisoner.
Wow.
And I remember one specific time. It was like the door opened, and in comes a potty because my brothers were potty training at the time, and it's like that's the toilet if you need it. Door gets shut, bolt gets thrown over.
I mean, that's psychological as well. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's like you are.
Yeah,
You know your place around here. That's really horrible. I'm sorry about that.
No,
it's disgusting, isn't it?
it's horrible. It
Yeah.
is, and looking back on it now, for everything that I've done and been through, I'm just like, you know what? He's obviously had something drastically wrong happen to him at some point where this is happening to me.
There's a good possible because he sounds like an absolute wrong.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason he's never coming out of prison until he's, bless you, at like a good old age. Good old age. There's a reason. And I always think that now, even growing up, thinking, what happened, It'd be a good question. Like, what, why?
Would you ever be tempted to go and see him in prison?
Never.
No.
Never. No, and I don't think.
So let him fester. Let him have his potty.
Well, yeah, I just feel like exactly.
Yeah.
I just feel like I won't. I don't feel like I would gain anything, especially now.
No.
Because I have been through it on my own,
Yeah.
and got to where I am at this point, and it's like that upbringing pushed me into certain places of my life where I'm like, I needed that. Like I needed parachute training. I needed.
Yeah.
I started off.
Let's come away from the domestic stuff slightly, and let's. What did you do? Were you any good at school?
For school,
Did
me,
you get any qualifications? Were you looking?
I found some classes challenging, and I found the ones like maths and English, and the usual ones I found quite tough to focus. And I think that was just like I just found it hard to focus. I don't know why.
Yeah. I like the same. ADHD they call it now. They label you now. Do you know what I mean? They label you and fill you full of drugs.
And it was more the hands-on things like craft design and PE and the stuff that I could get really involved in. I enjoyed the most. PE was. I did really well at PE. Did really well at craft design, graphic communication.
Play football, do you?
I did play football for a little while.
Yeah. Any good?
And in the military I played as well.
Yeah, nice.
Good, which sounds amazing. But I enjoyed it, I did.
Who's your team?
It was called Muirston Blue.
Yeah.
Scotland.
Same sort of league as Cowden Beef and all those other bizarre names that come out.
It was like back then though. It was like your younger league stuff.
Cowden Beef.
That was the teams. And a school team as well.
Yeah.
But then I went to college for a small while and got into rugby as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, became a winger.
Winger, I was going to say.
Just a slim dude that could run. As long as nobody catches you, you're fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What stage did you start thinking seriously about the military?
That was instilled through childhood. It was literally like when I was coming to the end of high school, I just knew straight away that it was going to be.
Cadets or anything like that?
Didn't do cadets.
No.
But I did at college. It was the preparation for uniform services course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like the mill prep colleges now, the MPCTs and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of map reading, team building. You do a lot of look at life. So it would be the Marines would come in, they'd do a chat. You would get the Paras would come in and they would do a chat and just different parts of the military. And even the police and the fire service would come in too.
Yeah.
But I just knew. I was like, I need to do something that he said he was and he wasn't. And I think that was just the pushing factor. I was just like, just do it. So for me, it was tough because it was like, what do I do here? And we did the Look at Life course with the Marines, with the college, and that's what grabbed me. Yeah.
Just going back to his walking, did he do any service at all?
Don't think so at all, no.
I
have no proof, but
no.
As far as I'm aware, never. He did, I'm pretty sure he was a black belt in some martial art.
Right.
But that was it as far as it went.
Well, he obviously knew the soft bits.
yeah, exactly. He did. But he was a window cleaner. And then he would juggle jobs.
Just sounds to me like he was a little bit unfulfilled in life himself. Like, do you know what I mean? And I want to be tough guy type.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And yeah, to get your kick out of with kids though as well, you know.
Yeah, it just snowballs, repeats, and gets more honking as it gets deeper. So,
like, it was challenging. But yeah, he was just he was constantly away.
Yeah.
He'd come back. He was always on the drink. I remember very vividly my mum cleaning out the house and took off the plinths at the bottom of the kitchen, and that was just constant wine bottles everywhere underneath these plinths hidden, you know.
Really?
Proper
lush.
Drinking all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, I think, came from where things would happen, the door would open, and it would come like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, here we go, you know. And I think, see, after a while, Phil, honestly, I was like, I know where my place, I know what's going to happen to me. And I started to give it back a little bit as well, as, you know, like,
oh,
shut up, I hate you, you're not my real
dad. Definitely work things out, don't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, yeah, you know what's coming. So it's like, even if I don't, and even if I do, it's going to happen anyway. So I may as well just give it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the time where it was like, the door opened, came in, grabbed by the throat, up I went, whack, right off the radiator, and I smashed it. I was like, I remember hitting the ground and being like, whoa, what just happened? And that was it. I was like, you know what, I'm gone.
I ain't having it something like you're out. So you went on the run. Where did you go?
Literally went to the park, and a bunch of people that I knew around the area came round, played football for ages, started to get dark. They went in for their dinner, and I just walked the streets. And I had no idea really at that point what.
Upset?
Well, I felt free. I did. I felt like, yes, I'm out. Like, I'm going to just enjoy this time. But yeah, once it started getting dark, I was like, I'm hungry now, I'm cold. What do I do? And we lived in the flat, so you can go in the main door of the flat, and you go round. There's a back door, but there's a little alcove, and it was quite dark in there. And I sat in there, and the downstairs neighbour came out. What are you doing? And I was just kind of like, I was like jittering, like, I'm here, come in for a minute. But they knew. Like, they must have heard it all the time.
Yeah, they probably heard it.
And they just took me in, gave me some food, like, listen, you'll be fine, you'll be safe. And I was literally down the stairs. I could hear them, and like, he was shouting and arguing with my mum, and there was chaos in the house. And I just remember sleeping that night and waking up, and the police were around the next day. Picked up, that was me. That was it. Foster.
So they took you to like a foster type place?
I went to the social services headquarters. I was there for a day.
Yeah.
They didn't know where to put me.
Yeah, they usually have like, I went to an assessment centre. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think that's what it might be.
It's like a temporary type children's home where they have a look at what you are, what you can do, what you like, all that sort of stuff.
And it was the police that took me there as well from the social, and they took me in. They were showing me all the. I remember vividly. They took me through. They were showing me the lights on the cars, the blue lights, and all. Like, come on, let's go. And took me to it. I was in the youth centre, and I was there. I must have been. I think I was like 12. I mean, it's hard to remember fully the age, but it must have been 12ish. But there was a group of like 6, 17, 18-year-old females, and they used to batter lumps out of each other. They used to just rip their hair out. At one point, I was thinking knives and forks were being used. Yeah. It was tough, and I remember they were like, we need to get him out of here. Like, he's the only young boy in here. We've got females, 16, 17-year-olds. He's like 12, and they're pulling lumps out of each other.
Yeah.
He needs to go, and it was one of the workers at the youth centre that took me in as a foster parent.
Okay.
Yeah. So
how did you find that? How did you get all the foster parents?
I can't really remember much, but for me, I think at that point it was like you're just told where to go. Like, you're going here, come in, and I think it took me a while to adjust. Yeah. And I think I just was like really enclosed, just quiet. Like, I didn't want to speak to anyone. I think they must have found it so challenging.
It's a massive thing. You've had your whole world tipped upside down. Presumably your school's changed, your lifestyle's changed.
The school they kept. I was just getting taxied there all the time. But that's when people at school started to question, why are you suddenly getting taxis to school all the time? And then people started to work it out. And then things were starting to get mentioned, and that's where
it's
school
not nice
starts
to wear your washing either, is it? Because that's when the bullying starts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and all that sort of stuff at school, which is
and it was a bit of a fight or flight, I think, at school at that point, because you come into the older years of high school,
yeah,
and it's like people might say the odd comment, and it's like I need to either say something back here, or I just need to like take it. So at points I would find myself getting in the fights, just because I would be like, I would be really defensive, and but I got called out on it quite a lot. I remember getting headbutted full pelt by this older coot. You ever pick on my cousin again? I just went whack, and that was me. I was like, right, okay, shut up. You know your place. Yeah.
So you finished school. Did you go to college?
Went to college.
Okay.
Yep. It was a 6-month course with preparation uniform services, so it wasn't long.
Yeah. And then
But I'd already started applying to Marines at that time.
Okay.
But that's when the foster situation came up, and you need a year clear. You can't join up for another year.
Okay.
Because you need to be a year clear of this care or whatever was going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's absolutely fine. So at that point, I'd been reintegrated back to family. It was back to my mum. He had gone. He was gone out of the house.
Okay, so she'd got rid of him.
Yeah, because there's a massive amount of stuff that happened between those two times. But I got like visiting, and then it was like, right, go back because the threat has left the premise as such.
Okay.
So I was back with mum, and she was like, I understand you've got this, you've got that, but you need to go and find something else to do because I don't want you to stand being around this house the whole time, you know. And I went down to the local zoo, went into the office, knocked on the door, and I'm like, listen, I've been told to come and find some form of work, and I need something. Have you got anything? And this guy pops his head up, and he's like, come in tomorrow, 8 o'clock. And I was like, okay. So I went back the next day, and it was the owner of the zoo, and he was like, cool, all I want you to do is basically get some wheelbarrows, pick up some of that crap over there and just put it on the flower beds. And I'd done that for about a week, 2 weeks before one of the zookeepers was like, who is this kid and what is he doing? Because I was literally just moving crap all everywhere, all straight on the flower beds the whole time. And it's like, they must have been like, who is this? And they were like, listen, come with us. So they took me into the animal feeding centre. I was chopping up food. And then they were like, right, this is the alpacas, this is the pigs, this is the goats, this is the monkeys, this is the crocodiles. You're going to help us now. And that was it. I started volunteering.
So you literally sort of like just bullied your way in. Not bullied, but sort of like you thrust your way in on a job.
Pretty
basically.
much just was like, listen, I need help. Somebody help me. Like,
hey, fair play to you. I'm going to tell you, you know what I mean? Fair play to you. Because it takes a bit of nerve to walk into somewhere. You don't know anybody.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I bet that boss man there, I bet he had a fair amount of respect for you.
I think he did. I think that I always felt like, is this a challenge? Like, me moving this manure for weeks on end?
Yeah. Pick up shit for a week and we'll see how you go, son. To be fair, right, nowadays, how many kids will sit there and pick shit up for a week?
Probably not many.
Do you know what I mean? If my I can't get the dog stuff picked up in the garden by my grandkids. Do you know what I mean? Even if I pay them.
Yeah. So that's how that all spurred around. And then I got on really well with a guy, Callum, who runs an animal company called Cool Creatures, and he just took me under his wing.
Did you think at that point the zoos for me sold the Marines, or did
Marines
you think...
were still the forefront of my mind.
still want to get out of the Marines.
I still had college. I still had that year wait,
and
I was just riding the time. Like I knew that's what I wanted to do.
But I was paying you a little bit of money now.
A little bit. Yeah, it was volunteering.
Okay.
I wasn't getting a job as such. My mum was just like, you can't be in this house all the time, sitting here all day, every day, just mopping around.
But she wasn't mithering you for food money and all that sort of stuff. She
No,
was still feeding you and all that sort of stuff. So that's a fair one.
I think she just wanted, I don't know, maybe she was a bit worried about how I maybe would just be like depressed and sit down. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I just want to stay here. It's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, and you don't need that. Yeah, you really don't need that.
So it was probably a really good thing. It was like, get out and get something. And it gave me a great focus as well. But yeah, as soon as the Marines came up, that was gone. Livingston.
Okay. So you went to Livingston?
My mum was like, bags are packed.
Yeah.
I was like, right, okay, see you later.
Long old train ride, that, innit? From up north?
It was, yeah, train ride down. I think I flew and then got the train.
Did you really?
I do, yeah. I flew and then there was a train to the old get off at the platform.
That's right, yeah.
And I remember it was 1-2-3 trip.
Field.
I was the youngest in the trip. And actually, I recently met one of the guys who I was in that trip with. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm Alex Mason. Do you remember me at all? And he was like, mate, I do. You were like the youngest guy, just this frail little dude. Yeah, I remember you so well. And we got on chatting and that. And he was telling me about it. And I don't even remember much of it. It's crazy. I have really bad memory of trying to remember certain things.
How long was you there for?
I did 21 weeks.
Okay.
Basic, yeah.
Well, that's quite a
doing
long
well.
way to train, isn't it?
Yeah, I was doing really well. And we were getting to that point, pass out bottom field.
Yeah.
It was coming up to that, and we'd done numerous exercises, and I was doing well. But I picked up an
done
injury.
Woodbury Common by then, haven't you? All that sort of stuff. There's a few things you've done by then, isn't there?
Yeah, there was. You do your 9 mile speed march.
That's right.
You get the green belt.
Yeah.
And all that. The mud run, remember that?
Yeah.
And then you get the dunk tank. Started moving into rope regains and things like that.
Yeah.
But I got injured. I picked up an injury on one of the exercises, and I don't know what it was, but I just remember being like, am I going to fall back? Well, yeah, you're going to go on a hunter. You can't carry on with the trip. So all the guys that I've been with for the last like 20 odd weeks and that, they're going to continue, and then I'm just going to go with some other trip. And yeah, that's what'll happen. I was like, I was under 18, and they're like, you have a choice. Like, you're under 18. You can say you want to leave right now, and you can go home, or you can go into hunter, and you can pick this back up. And I just remember being like, why am I even here? I don't know where it came from. It was like, I'm here to prove a point. Do I need to really be here? And it was like, just questioning myself. And I remember saying to the officer, because you get that final interview, what are you going to go and do? I really don't know. I just feel like I think I should go home. And he was like, I respect you, but I'll probably see you back here in about 8 months, 9 months' time. And I was like, maybe. And off I went, and I left. And maybe a little bit regretting now, but I don't think there was, because when I turned up to that platform to when I left, I was probably a completely different person. I think I grew up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I needed the beastings, I think, because the beastings, I felt like I've been beasted at home when I was younger, so it was like I can take them. And I needed I don't know what I needed, but I needed something, and I felt like I got it. So I left.
Yeah, it tees you up straight and narrow wise, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? And you're not bothered. I was never bothered by beastings. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't. I got punched about as a child. You know what I mean? So it was a beasting, but it wasn't kicked in. It wasn't kicked in the belly beasting, was it? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I was going to wake up and I wasn't going to be in a coma. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully, but you know what I mean? Yeah. So it tees you up.
I was like, right, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go, and I went and I left, and I had nothing there. I was like, right, what am I doing now? So I set up a little joinery. Started doing a bit of joinery company. That flopped after a little while, so then worked in a coffee shop, did some coffee shop stuff, and I just remember being like, what have I done? What have you done? So it was like, right, you need to go back.
What year was this?
This would have been 2011.
Okay, so the world's at war as well now, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you must be thinking, you know what I mean, if I'd have carried on, if I'd have gone back, I'd have possibly been doing tours now, I'd have been out there.
I joined the Marines 2010.
Yeah.
And then it was like later 2011. And Afghanistan was well kicked off by then.
Yeah.
And those, because you got your 2001, 2003.
And all the punchy tours were round about then.
Massive.
You know what I mean? The Herricks and all these tours they talk about now. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I was like, right, I want to go back. So it was like, and I think a bit of pride. I was like, but do you want to go back to the Marines? Because I know you left and then you went back again. And that officer was going to be like, I know you'd be back. So I was like, let's see what else I've got. So I went to Careers office, had a chat. And it was like, right. And it was always Marines, paras, and obviously SF, because I remember him saying, I was SAS, I was a Marine, I was a paratrooper.
Yeah.
And that for me was my three choices. And obviously I was like, right, let's see what this para thing's about. And at that time, I had a couple of things going on at home, and I was like, do I commit to a full-time or do I do the reserve thing? And I was like, right, let's do 4 para. Let's give that a bash. Let's go in. That in my head was like, let's kind of go in gentle and see if it is really what you want to do.
Let's put it in perspective, because it was gone the days of the TA then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't the TA anymore. It wasn't a drinking club. 4 para, serious unit. Do you know what I mean? Going out doing some punchy stuff.
Yeah.
So it was accepted that you weren't just going to be there to have coffee mornings and piss ups.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It was, and I think for me it was like treading water just to see if, because I wanted to know, is it just because he said that he did that I want to do it, or is it because if I want that Marine beret, if I wanted that Marine beret, I have to be 100%.
Yeah, they're not going to give it to you.
They're not going to hand it to you.
You're not going to sign it out. You're going to earn the.
You need to earn it. You need to know you want it, because that's what they want from you. They don't want somebody that's going to come in and go, okay. They want like, I need it. I need it. This is what I want in my life. So I started at 4 para training. Training team was brutal, fantastic, and that training that I did was by far more like what I felt I needed than what I was getting at Livingston at that time, at the age that I was, at what I'd experienced. It was screaming. I was like, fucking. But at the same time, they're like, if you want to be the best of the best of the best of the best of the best, you need to do this. It's like, you need to do this. Yeah. And I was like, I do need to do this. I need to know that I can achieve this. I need to know that I can push myself and that I can challenge myself and that I can come off the back end of it and not be that guy who was that little kid.
Yeah.
And did it, passed out. I remember having the biggest smile on my face when they were like, number 20, pass.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like,
You do your P company at Catterick?
you do, yeah, you do.
Okay, so same place as I'd have got my berry, you'd have got yours.
Yeah, on that parade square.
On that parade square, yeah.
Yeah, you do,
I was up there the other week. I'm going up there next week, actually.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the best memory I think ever was just standing there and being like, yeah, pass. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I just was like, wow. Because it was at times it was brutal, because four para is like you do your basic and you do your weekends and you do your days of the week. But if you're not committed 100%, straight away it's like, right, well, for the rest of the days I'm not going to train.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn back on and then I'll close this, and they'll get rid of you straight away. Because it's like you need to be able to so focus that you train in your own time as well as the time that you're there.
Yeah,
So
It's a commitment. It's all about commitment, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. And as soon as I passed out, I remember there were like talks of a tour. There was chats of a deployment, and I had just passed out. I was like proper crow. Like just passed. And then Sergeant Major, Robbie Grant was his name, one of the best sergeant majors. Like, he's took me under his wing massively, helped me out so much. I was like, I want to do that deployment. And he just kind of went, oh, okay. I was like, I would love to do that deployment. You need to prove yourself. You've just passed out. You need to prove yourself to us that you want it and you're going to do it and that you're good enough to go. So we did a battle camp in Haas camp in Germany. And that was the old, like, for a minute, I felt like I was in jihad, because you had the machine guns firing over your head when you're doing all the crawling and that. And I loved it. I loved soldiering. I just loved it so much. And I remember getting to the end of the battle camp, and then they were like, right, this is a group that's going. And I was in that group.
Did you any jumps at this stage?
I went down to Bryce to do them because they were keen to get it as fast as you could. But the aircraft was tough to get hold of, and the weather cancelled it. So between passing out and going on tour, I was good in Bryce, but it never happened.
Okay, so you went on tour without your wings.
So I went on tour. But the benefit of it was the tour was a company of 4 para soldiers attached to RTR.
Okay.
So Parareg, if I'd been Parareg, it would have been tough. You're a penguin here. You're a crow, penguin, you're everything, right? You're carrying all the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But because we were with RTR, they sort of did respect us when we went there. Like, you're going to be our ground force and assisting us.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was immediate sort of respect between the two of us, and it was great. We worked so hard.
Punchy tour?
I actually didn't think it was going to be, but there was some stuff that happened. Yeah,
Okay.
It was like,
did you get involved in any of this stuff?
oh yeah.
Let's hope it's
The first one that we received was, I was QRF at this point, and the alarm's going off. You're like, what's going on? It's QRF main gate, and then comes 2 AMP guys, heavily like shot up. One guy's sucking chest wounds, blood. He was, the crackle. You can hear the crackle. He's got blood filling up inside him.
Yeah.
One of the other ones had been shot in the back of his legs. And the first thing I was doing was, you're treating these guys on the spot until we can get them down to the med centre. So yeah, I remember just all the blood. One of them.
The first time you've seen anything like that?
That was it. Like, this is
So this is real now. Nothing hits home like a sucking chest wound.
Well, yeah, exactly. Nothing's going to put you in the zone with 2 guys that are dying in front of you.
Yeah.
And need your help.
And you've got to plug them up. You've got to get tourniquets on for real. You're not messing about now. You're not letting it go before it's tight and all that sort of stuff. It's on.
It wasn't. It's not like tourniquets. It wasn't as extreme as what that stuff was. But it was like, as an 18-year-old kid, it's like, help these guys.
Your field dressings are out. The covers are off, and you're sticking them in holes. Yeah.
And we patched them up best we could. We got the sit rep down to the med centre. Quads came up, took them down. And then I just remember being like, fuck, like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And it's like, at that point, I remember body had just went autopilot, bum. Everyone's talking to each other, right? What's going on? What we've got, sit rep to the med centre, quads up, gone. And it's like, here I am. I'm in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, that AMP compound was right next to where we were as well. Because our PB was here, theirs was there. And we had this sort of joint thing going on where we were working with them. And it's like, boom, this is it. And I think it was quite quiet after that. There was just the old stagging on the odd patrol out the back. I remember there was like a no man's land. It was quite strange. It was like, we're going to patrol to this point, but we're not going any further. We're coming back. And I always remember questioning why we're not going any further. What's going on here? And one of the interpreters was kind of like, over there's their stronghold. There's a certain point you get to and it becomes quite hot. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So we had our area and they had their area. And I remember coming through the net at one point. We're like, right, everyone's in for a brief. And they're talking. It's like, right, watch this. There's like this incident happen on the iStars, massive cameras that are up, and you're watching a full-on attack happening where these Taliban guys are mouse-holing the building and going in. And they went into this building and massacred everyone inside. And they're like, guess where you're going? You're going to go and patrol up there. And we're going to go and check it out. And I was like, right, okay. And on top of that, like, and you're taking ECM blue. So you've got this massive amount of weight on me. And I remember it's just horrendous. And we're in the Mastiffs.
Yeah.
Going up. And it was really early in the morning. And everyone's bobbing along. And I think, remember, and looking at each other, all we were really thinking about was that video we had just witnessed.
Yeah.
Where these guys looked like they were highly professional.
Oh, yeah, no, they weren't flip-flop wearing mongrels. You were like, you're going against some serious people who'd done some scrapping and all.
Yeah, these guys were ready. And we were going up there. And it's like, what's going to happen? And I remember just thinking, what are we going into? And it was so quiet. It was early in the morning. We're on this patrol. We're going up towards this compound. And everything's super quiet. And it's that point where you're like, this isn't our territory. This isn't the normal locals around here. It's too quiet. And I just was patrolling up. I could see the compound. And then it was like, crack. And I just was like, what? And everyone's looking at each other like, nah, no way. And then there was another one, it was crack. And the crack is like the sound of the round breaking that barrier. Yeah. That's fucking close. And it was like, whoa. So everyone stops and they all went quiet. And it's like looking at each other like, where did it come from? Nobody knew. And then, that was it. Crack. Like,
it's when they start fizzing. That's when you know you're
fizzing.
in it. The crack you can live with. When they start fizzing by, you're like, right,
everyone,
this has changed.
I remember everyone was just kind of like, there's two cracks. Does anyone know what that was? And it's like, what? And it was only when it started going zoom, 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 zoom.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing this riverbed and I just bounded straight for it, right into it. And I was on the riverbed. We're all lined up. There's another section of dudes. They're in a crater, like inside this massive crater. I don't think anyone decided to go, why is this a crater that we're in? Actually, why is there a crater here? Could there potentially be other IEDs around this crater?
Or mines.
And it was literally only a bit into the contact where it came through like there is mines, there is IEDs around this area. And then they're like, shit. So they had to follow our proven route up this riverbed. So we went right up the riverbed whilst under the fires coming over the top and got ourselves into the compound. And then once I got in there, I seen the mouse hole. And I was like, oh, no. Like, oh, here we go. You had GPMG on the corner and all the gunners ran straight to the roof. And they were just suppressing. And I was like, fuck, here we go. This is it. And they just kept on with the suppression. Everything started to get really busy and then it just stopped. And the interpreter's like on the comms. And they've got the comms so they can hear them talking. And it's like, right, they know you're here. And right now what they're asking for is more guys to come up so they can kill you all. That's literally what we heard in the interpreters. That's literally what they just said.
They're screaming for their cure, have to come and have a proper go at you.
Yeah. That's what it was. It was like, right.
And you're trying to push them back far enough so they actually have to disappear.
Yeah. So AMP were up there. And the AMP guys were like, we're going to go. Because at this point, it was a Hurricane 18. It was like, contact if you have to. But we don't want to create havoc. We don't want it to be nuts. But protect yourselves. Right, okay. So it was like the AMP were like, we'll go round and use maintaining the compound as long as you're suppressing as we go round. So they've bimbled off round and the contacts happened again. Next coming, I was like, yep, they're on their way. There's more guys coming. They started to surround us on two sides. The AMP's out there. And then there's just all this screaming and there's a bit of miscommunication going on. I don't know what happened. But the AMP came back in. And as I turned around, there was an AK-47 pointing right at me. And I was like, what is going on right now? Like, does he know he's pointing this at me? So I've sort of been in a bit of I'm frozen. I'm like, what's going on? There's loads of screaming, loads of shouting. And then the AMP are like screaming and shouting and then they jump in the trucks. The guy kind of relaxes a bit and then they leave us. So we're on our own. And to this day, it's like, I don't know what happened. There's an issue. They've went, fuck you guys, we're off.
Do you think their bottle went?
Well, I think there was an incident where they've been like, just fuck off.
We've got to get out of it. There's more coming than what we thought, or something of that.
For me, and for me, I was like, but why did I have an AK-47 in my face? Like, what's going on? Why are they so? And I just remember questioning it, it was quite quiet at this point in time. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. Fires, there's more fires coming in, more fires getting thrown back. We're suppressing. We're on our own. And it's like, it came through QRS on their way. But they said that there was a minefield right outside. So QRF can't come right up to this door. You're running and you're getting to the back of those wagons. And I was like, fuck. So they tried to maintain suppressive fire as much as they could, while the QRF came up, they're popping smoke right, left and centre between us and them. So there's a massive wall of smoke. And I remember just sprinting on this road, which was potentially a minefield. I had no idea at the time. And I just ran through the smoke, and you could still hear zim, 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 right to the QRF, right into the back. And we're there, and they were suppressing them, and we just bimbled off and left. And that was it.
That's a pretty intense little fight, that that's your welcome fight, isn't it?
That's the welcome one, yeah. And that was from that point. That was like up there.
Yeah.
The rest of it was fairly relaxed. You know, we had a snatched operator.
Yeah.
So roadblocks, we're doing that. We're closing down the main highway between Lashkar and where we were. The amount of traffic was intense, and I was a top gunner at the time. So this was like one of the incidents just coming to the end of it. And I'm on top cover, and I remember the traffic's piling back. Lads are on the roads. They're looking through all the cars, searching all the cars.
The Afghan gun, was it? Or one of those?
We don't know. All we had was snatch operator, search vehicles, see what you find. And there wasn't much information that we were given. And I think the guys on the ground maybe knew what they were looking for. They must have. But we were just covering them.
Okay, got you.
And this car pulls out right at the back and starts bimbling up off the road on the sand coming towards us. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? But nothing was said. So we've got little flares, little pop flares you get.
Yeah, little mini flares.
Yeah, so like, right, fire some shots at this car. So the mini flares off, and he's got this red light coming towards him, hitting the windscreen. He's not stopping. And I'm like, oh my God. And the guy's like, because it's quite a distance.
Yeah.
Like, fire another one, because he's probably not seen it. So fires off another one, still coming towards him. I'm like, that's it. So I get up behind the jimpy. I'm up and I'm ready.
The suicide
ready to go.
bomb thing is just horrendous, isn't it? You know
Nobody's telling me anything. I'm like, right, I'm 18 years old. Am I making this decision now that I'm fucking melting in this car? And just as I'm thinking, right, it's getting too close now, it stops. Brakes slam on. Guy comes out. Interpreter goes over. They have a screaming match. He gets in the car and he goes off. But for me, at that moment in time, I was just like, this is it. This is going to happen.
Quite happily sent him on his way if you got any closer.
Yeah. And I was just like, that was a close shave. But I remember a lot of searching, got dark. We got told we were in a pretty compromising position because we're in the middle of nowhere with these mastiffs just sitting. And it's like, yeah, they know you're there. They're going to come around at some point. Well, nothing ever did. Then we got in the mastiffs. The whole thing could have called off, go back to the PB. And yeah, the rest of it was sort of rotations, QRF, staggering on, patrols.
And how long was your tour for?
We ended up doing 7 months because we were 6 months and they couldn't get the aircraft to where we were. Because they were like, we just can't, and we ended up getting 2 Lynxes. It was incredible, 2 tiny little aircraft coming in, and they just dropped out the sky. One picked us up, off we went. Other one drops in, off we went. And I remember, I don't know if this is me not remembering it or if it actually happened, but I'm sitting in this aircraft, and the minigun just goes off, and I'm like, and even to this day, I'm like, did that actually happen, or am I just imagining that? But I'm pretty sure the minigun went off. I was like, obviously there must be something going on. But then for them not to send the Chinooks, there must have been something going on that they can send the Chinooks in.
Yeah.
But that was it. And the Lynx dropped off at Bastion. Tour's done.
That was it, straight home. Did you do any more tours?
No. After that, once I got back, I had a bit of a bug. And I was kind of like, right, I want to go somewhere else. And they're like, well, you need to take time off. You can't just go straight away. So go and have a few weeks. And Kenya came up with free para. I was like, right, can I go to Kenya with free para? Like, of course you can. Go and attach yourself on. So I went on free para.
The Nuki?
The
Nuki showground?
Nuki show.
Where did you go? Whereabouts in Kenya did you go?
We were in Nairobi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But Nanuki, in fact, that's it. Nanuki, yeah. No, it comes to mind, yeah. Nanuki. Remember that well. And we were there in Kenya with free para, and that was my sort of initiation with regular battalion free para.
And how did you find that compared with the lads you have been serving with?
Yeah, by far it was more like you're on your ball. You're being watched. You need to pull. You need to
So we sort of like integrated into their platoons, were you?
Yeah, we're integrated to, I think it was 2 platoon, A company, 3 para. My platoon sergeant was the sergeant who took me through P company. Carl Jackson, Jacko.
Okay.
Crazy man, but amazing dude. And it was one of those moments for me. I was like, okay, take me through P company. Now you're like a platoon sergeant. And he was like, hey, cool, just fucking shut him, get over there. Okay. And it's like integrated with these dudes, and you need to prove yourself again. Like, they need to know that you are not just some guy that's turned up for a bit of a laugh here. Yeah. Part of the time to just do whatever you want. So yeah, I really did work hard with them in the section in patrols all the time. A lot of trench stuff. So you're in the trenches and you're fighting back. I think it was the Royal Irish who were doing the enemy. Yeah. Fighting them back. And yeah, I remember getting in this trench as well, and I'm sitting in there and I'm looking. I'm like, because I've done a bit of the zoo stuff with the reptiles. I'm looking. I'm like, looks like a dangerous snake. That and there's a black mamba sitting in the trench. I was like, I might just get back out. Actually, there's a massive snake in there. It'll have me for dinner. But that was crazy. But Kenya was nuts. It's on YouTube. It's Paras in Kenya, and we're patrolling in the middle of the night, and these bull elephants are trying to mow us down.
Can't you? Yeah. I did 2 or 3 trips to Kenya. I went with a squadron once, and in fact, the first kill with the new rifle in the squadron, the new DeMarco rifle, was a water buffalo. You know, it was a big. And it just literally stepped out. One of the lads is like that. Because they're proper. They'll have you, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, everything out there just wants to kill you.
Including your platoon sergeant.
Yeah, exactly. It was an eye-opener, but I was so glad to be able to be with regular battalion. Yeah. And just learning from them, and hopefully for them to go, Mason's pretty good. Yeah, you can come with us anytime. So I was there for quite a number of weeks with them. I remember one thing they were like, though. It's like, right, when we get back to battalion, it's cleaning weapons, demobbing, and blah, 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 blah. But you lads, you're going home. And they were just kind of like, you dicks. Like, what? Yeah, you're on the flight. Once you get back, jump in the cars, go home. But you've got weapon cleaning, you've got everything to do. And I was just like, oh, no. Like, you're a cunt. I was like, well, nature of the beast, I suppose. Yeah. So it was quite crazy, because it was literally like, go out, spend loads of time with this battalion. You're in Kenya for a number of amount of weeks, and now you go home. And you go home, and it's just like, okay, what do I do? Because I committed all my time, and I don't have a job to go back to. That's a lot of it. What I was doing. A lot of the guys did have part-time jobs or full-time jobs, and they do that, but I didn't. I just did full para and no job in between. Yeah. Until later on, where I started up a bit of security, a bit of door work, and that was just casual, whilst I was giving a lot of my time to what I could do. Because it was like Kenya, and then the Falklands came up with 2 para.
Oh, okay. So you were getting some good little trips in.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and then we got a fantastic one came up. It was America, and there's only a select amount of people can go and do this. So I was like, right, we're going to send a bunch of people. So we went to El Centro, and it was literally acting as a ground force for the Apache pilots.
Okay.
It was like, right, cool. You're going to be enemy today. You're going to be soldiers today. We're going to walk around. We're in El Centro. It's like just on the Mexican border. And yeah.
That's pretty early.
Just be dudes.
Yeah, nice.
It was crazy, but only at one point, it was one of the guys, Gav, questioned it. He was like, listen, I understand we're playing enemy for the patch pilots, but we're literally dressed up here in enemy kit out, and we've got like rubber weapons running around. There's a chance people know we are not bad people, yeah? And it took for Border Patrol to pull up beside him and go, what are you doing? For him to go, yeah, obviously there's questions to be asked. Don't worry, like, I'm a British soldier, like we're doing training. And I think it was like a little bit of, can we just check that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was happening. Yeah, but yeah, nobody thought to question that. We're just patrolling through like genuine.
Everyone's got a gun over there, haven't they? You know what I mean? Exactly. Everyone's got a gun, haven't they?
Yeah, but we've got wraps over our heads, and we've got black clothing on with rubber weapons.
That'll work.
Running around, hiding in bushes. Yeah, but it was it never happened again. Yeah, it was like a one-off situation. But even then, like the sergeants were like, just behave, just be professional, behave. Yes, it's a great trip. Yeah, but let's just work hard. And they took us out on the old tabs all the time and made sure we were keeping fitnesses up, and it wasn't just a jolly. Yeah, crazy. One time that came up, and
brilliant. Sounds like fun. So, do you still do any stuff with 4 para now?
It's lapsed a lot since film and TV came up massively. Because
go on, talk us how you got into film and TV, because I'm quite keen to talk about.
Yeah, crazy. So for me, during the 4-par situation, I was doing a little bit of film and TV, and I'd done some doors, just security work. You look at me and you go, this guy did doors. Wait a minute, what? But no, I worked on a door team and held my own. It was only one night I'm sitting in the house in the living room, and the phone goes, and the guy that sort of operates the door system was like, listen, mate, funny one, but are you free tonight? I'm like, yeah, I'm free tonight. What's up? He's like, it's not a normal one, this, right? But do me a favour, just chuck on a suit and can you come meet me? I'll send you the location. And I'm like, right, okay. So does what he says, goes to the location. It's this beautiful house in Edinburgh. 2016, this is. Turns up and he's like, listen, keep it to yourself, but you are a bit of a security force here and you're going to be looking after Leonardo DiCaprio. And I was just like, what? He was like, yeah, I spoke to a few people. Obviously, I know about a bit about your past and you're a good guy. So you're going to have Leo and you're going to make sure everything's all right tonight while he's here in this hotel. And I was like, wow. And that was my first instance of film and TV stuff, because he had a group of people that were chit-chatting and I was listening, and you hear a lot of things that sounds cool. Well, how did you get into that? Him as a person didn't speak much, but for me to be sitting in this really nice hotel with like cups of tea and that, and he's sitting literally right there, and it's like, wow, like, how can my life go from not really having much work to all of a sudden I'm here with Leonardo DiCaprio on a security team? It was insane. It was one of those moments I was just like, wow. Like, but see, since that happened, the phone started to ring a bit more. Certain things like that started to come up, and I met a really, really nice guy who was running a security company who got me involved in security for the Network Rail stuff. And then, like, you wouldn't think, but Network Rail, we're in this little town in Scotland, and all of a sudden over the radio, it's like, there's guys working on the rail, like, I think we've just been shot at. And yeah, what? He's like, no, I genuinely think we've just been shot at. And as a security detail, you're like, nah. And then all of a sudden, a couple of Network Rail bosses come up, and then my boss comes up. What's happening? I said, listen, I have no idea, but he's just said they've been shot at. And it's like, right, let's go and have a look. Yeah, right enough, they found little pellets stuck in the wall where they were working, right? And my boss is looking at it going, this cannot be happening. So he looks, and there's a big block of flats not far away, and yeah, off they go. They're going to investigate, and there was a shooter at a window just popping off little shots at the workers on the railway on this bridge. Crazy. And he just went, you know what? Justifies why you're here.
Yeah. You got your payday at least.
But yeah, I remember I sent him a map, and I was plotting, like, looking at where it landed, looking back and going, if it's this sort of air rifle, it couldn't have been that distance, so it must be from here, it must be this. So off he goes in the block of flats that it looked like it came from. And yeah, I think conversations were had at that point, you know, like, what the hell?
Yeah,
you're just like, Jesus. But yeah, some good security stuff. And then working American military, I went out to South Korea as a security contractor. And it was literally just like working with computing systems. So like with his company, he operated installing software into computer systems as well.
Okay.
So I just managed to do that as well, which is crazy because I turned up to South Korea airport, Incheon airport, and I couldn't even get a hire car. So my boss was like, okay. I was public transport the whole way. It was insane. So not even speaking the language, I was getting trains and buses and taxis just to get the job done. He's like, basically, get the job done, mate, come back.
So were you getting small acting parts now, were you?
At this point, yeah, I'm juggling stuff.
And how did you get actually into the acting? You need an equity card and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so equity card comes into like big jobs. And for me at that point, I was working, so the transition from security went into locations. I was working with another security company, and the dude was providing security details to film and TV, making sure that all the kit and equipment was protected and the crew was protected. And he came up to me as well. Again, I'm just standing on a road closure on Fast and Furious, and he rocks up in the Range Rover, and he's like, mate, jump in a second. And at this point, I didn't know who he was. I was like, he's like, no, listen, just I'm part of the security company, jump in. He's the owner. Faz, a cracking guy, amazing. I owe him so much. And he's like, I know you. I've heard about you. I want you to come with me for the day. And then he started giving me details, looking after some of the high-end cast on the stuff, just being around them, making sure everything was safe. And I'm standing in Glasgow City Centre protecting this bus. And he's like, cool, just wait there. Helicopter flies overhead. All right. Idris Elba. Over he comes. He's like, all right, how you doing? I'm like, oh, wow. He's like, cool, right, let's do the scene. Not too much chit-chat. Do the scene. And I'm like, I'm standing here on set in Fast and Furious with Idris Elba. This is nuts. And that's what really was like, caught me. Like, I want more of this film and TV stuff. I want to get involved. And he was so good. He was like, right, okay, there's a location manager, wants a great team of people who can work in the sky and do a lot of sort of moving and humping and dumping and just keeping kit up to speed and making sure that locations are set up for the crew. And the film was Out of Darkness. It's called The Origins, a horror film shot in Scotland. It was filmed in Ullapool, actually. It was another film that was Sky, and it was really high up north in like the caves. They're called the Bone Caves, and they're just in fields. And I'm there as part of this team through the security company, but helping the location manager. And that was like, I was hooked. I was like, this is great. Like, we're working on Argo carts, little 8-wheeler tracked vehicles, driving up the mountains, quad bikes, driving up the mountains, like making sure that everything's safe. And then there was this one point where it was a grip team, the guys that work with the cameras, and they set up all the positions. I've seen you kicking around. You're pretty savvy. And there was this one point where the Argo cart broke down. This was like, must have been at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was due to start filming it at sunlight, which was about 6:30, 7. The Argo cart broke down, and there's a bunch of kit in it. And the walk wasn't that much of a distance, but the mountain was like that. And I'm looking, and the location manager's like, we need to get something else. So there's a dude starting, he's working on the mechanics, trying to get the Argo cart to work. I'm in there, I'm grabbing the kit, it's on my shoulder, I've got planks of wood, it's like triple my size, and I'm off. I'm up this mountain. And then I remember they must have just been watching me. Yeah, just like, this needs to get up there, and it needs to be up there before the crew come to film. So I'm just grabbing everything I can, and I'm up, I'm off, dropping it back down, back up. Must have done it about 3, 4, 5 times before the Argo cart started back up again, just in time for the crew arriving that could get the crew up. And that's when I was like, wow, this is great. And they were like, holy hell, what was that? And they started calling me Alex fucking Mason. That's Alex fucking Mason. That's what I started getting every day. And they bought me this really lovely, it's like a whiskey jar. It's got AFM on the front. They're like, just thanks for the effort that was insane. And that was where I got the bug for film and TV and wanted to be involved in more locations and crew. So I started doing a bit of assisting, a bit of locations assisting, other stuff like that. And then I moved into a position where I got assistant location manager. I was working on an Amazon show called Good Omens. It was with David Tennant, Michael Sheen. And literally, you're watching these guys acting. Like, it's phenomenal. Like, you hear the conversations that go on, you watch them, and I was just like, wow, this acting game, it looks pretty cool. Like, I'm invested in these performances, knowing them, the conversations they're having off camera to what's going on camera. And you get sent the scripts as well. So I'd often find myself the day before just looking for the script in my head going, okay, I wonder how they're going to play that. And then the next day going in and going, I didn't see that one coming. So it was like understanding the mechanics of what the actors were doing and how it was reading from script to screen.
Yeah.
But also understanding locations and understanding the camera, where the camera was being placed and what angles were working best. And I just learned so much. It was like literally a masterclass, but I was working on the job at the same time. And I was like, right, I want to get involved. So I started doing some like online courses. I did one with the National Film and Television School, which was filmmaking, learning about filmmaking and how filmmaking works out. And then I applied to the Royal Conservatoire Scotland, which is seen as quite a prestigious acting school, to do professional practices in the camera and an acting course. And I got it because there was a bit of a conversation like, we need to make sure that you're going to be good enough to get on the course as such, because it's quite a prestigious sort of school. So I got on it, started doing all these courses, but COVID was sort of coming in at this point. No, was COVID? Yeah, I think there was incidents happening. Yeah. So some of it was practical, some of it was online. And yeah, I learned so much. I was like, right, that's it. I'm getting invested. So then I started signing up to student shots. So you don't need an equity card. The students just need to trust you, because this is their dissertation sort of films that they're making, and they want some actors that are able to act really well for their dissertation films because they want to pass the course. And I remember meeting this young dude, and he was chatting about his script, and it was all about a paratrooper who was the brother of this mechanic, and the brother had been blown up, blah, 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 and the mechanic was struggling with this, and the brother came back in ghost form. And I remember chatting to him, and he just went, you were in the Paris for a bit, and you're a soldier, and I think you'd be great for the part. And that was my first ever role. Got on set, first ever very small scale acting role, but I could really push myself into it. And it was great, I loved it. And I was like, I need to do more of this. I need to learn. Like, I need to put myself in every different situation in order to learn, make these mistakes and learn from them. And the best place to do it would be with a film student's short film, because they'll go, cut, we need to do that again. And this is why. And I was like, right. And it gave me chances to change performances and do what I'd learned. Off the back of that, I got the sort of content and the recognition within the film school.
Yeah.
I'd done 3 shots for that same film school. And then the photography students got in touch, and I was asked to do a cosplay. And she was like, it's the Joker. And I was like, the Joker, you want me to be the Joker? Yeah, we want you to be the Joker. And I just played with it. I was just acting crazy. At one point, she was like, you're scaring a few people here. And I was just messing around. Like, I was like, I'm just wanting to captivate this, because this is my chance to learn. And I did. I gave it my all. And the pictures are fantastic. It came off the back of it. And I was just like, I really am enjoying this ability to give off emotion and just act, but not be judged by it. Because a lot of the time I did feel that from the childhood, from growing up, that I couldn't quite be fully myself. Sometimes I had to hold back some emotion. Yeah. And I think it came from childhood. I really do.
No, I totally get that. I absolutely get that.
I wasn't able to be myself. And this was a time where I could be someone else, be crazy with it and just enjoy it. And that was so good. It got me more roles. I got onto another short film, which was more of a high-end short film, which I got nominated for Best Actor for. It won Best Short Film. They played it on Scottish television. And then had a meeting with a bunch of the way it was seen as this group of people who are consistently working in film.
Yeah.
And you want to be part of their group. You want to be there because they're seen as the people who take everything seriously. They make feature films on small amounts of money, but they make them to a very high grade. Just it's incredible. So I took on the role of a smaller role in this feature film, but the guy was like, "Well, I think you'd be great to come on and help as producer as well," because he knew about the location stuff. He knew about all the stuff I'd been doing in the background, working in crew. So I took it on. I was like, right, I would be more than happy to come on in a producer level. Kind of reversing back a little bit, I had done a short film in Glencoe, and I was on it as an armed police dude. And I remember turning up and looking in the uniforms and going, they don't look 100%. And then they gave them berets instead of helmets. And I was looking at it like, oh. And then it was like, right, we just want you to walk up to this house, and there's someone in this house that you got to get. You got to get them. And I'm like, okay. There's actors around me, and some of them not firearms trained, some of them have never done tactical stuff. And it's like, right, let's go, action. And I remember doing it for the first time and looking around thinking, they're not actually, the weapons aren't up. It doesn't feel tactical. It doesn't feel like there's somebody in there.
You can tell, can't you? It looks,
For you, and I remember saying, like, for your, I understand I'm just a small dude here, right? But I can really help. I can help this look good. And they were like, all right. So I did a little bit of training with the guys, spoke a little bit about tactics, became sort of the go-to on that day. And I was like, I didn't know you could do this. There's a job opening here for this, is there? It's like, well, probably, yeah. Like we didn't think we needed anyone. And I was like, but the difference in the take the first time to the take now, it looks good. I was like, cool. So I'm on the emails. So have a look on the internet. Firearms, film and TV firearms, blah, blah, blah. Because I hadn't heard of it. The shows that I worked on didn't have firearms. So it was like, there wasn't that advice or anything there. Gets a number, an email. And emails, hi there, how you doing? I was working on this show. This is what happened. This is what I felt I could do and what I could achieve. And I'm thinking that maybe it's a good idea to try and get involved in this. And the guy, Bags, Bear Arms, I think he, at that point, was like, I'm going to make some calls. So he phones a few guys, and I remember he said to me, I actually phoned one of the dudes that you were in Kenya with, Smudge Smith, a great guy. I think he was one para in that as well. He spoke well of you. He spoke well. So at that point, he was kind of like, you're a good guy. Okay, let's see what we can do. Must have been a week, 2 weeks later. He phones me. Hi, Alex, how you doing? This is a weird one, right? But there's a job offer. And I think you're the guy for it. But you need to go for an interview and you need to see if they like you. Okay, I'm going to pass your number over. A day later, I get a message. You okay for a Zoom call? It's the line producer of SAS Rogue Heroes. And she's like, listen, we are in a situation where we need to facilitate 300 crew members going to Morocco, and the whole world's in lockdown. And we need somebody who's able to help with COVID and also assist the health and safety advisor. And we would love somebody that is maybe in the know-how about working in heat, working in the desert, health and safety of individuals, and can also be a bit of a direct person on set, because you're going to have to follow some pretty strict rules, because the Moroccans had set down some really quite strict deadlines. Yeah. And I mean, this was a chartered flight. We're in Heathrow, and the cast and crew are playing football in Heathrow Airport because there is no one there. It's insane on this chartered flight. My job at that point was looking through the manifests, ensuring that COVID paperwork, because there was a lot of it. I think there was like 3 sheets of paper people had filled out at that time that had to be sent to Moroccan government and also back in the UK as well. And there was like a liaison happening between the UK crew that stayed in the UK and then us in Morocco, but also the Moroccan crew that we were working with. So yeah, going through manifests, going through paperwork. The team in the UK were absolutely amazing. They were on top of all the paperwork, and I was then facilitating it, getting it to this side and making sure that everyone had it in their hand in a paper form, in an envelope, ready to get on a flight or to go wherever they needed to go. The checkpoints were consistent in Morocco. There was always police on every checkpoint.
Yeah,
Nobody was allowed to move around. So it's about making sure they also had the correct validation to get to where they needed to be. There was umpteen occasions where people were getting stopped, and it was like, get out of the car, and just holding them there for ages. And then they were like, right, you can get in, off you go. It was quite tough. Morocco was tough at that point. But that was my, like, you're on this crew, and you've got this role where you're working with a health and safety advisor. There was times where camera operators were in 54 degrees heat in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, I've done it to Morocco.
Yeah. It was, even for me, like, I was like,
they did quite a bit of filming out there, didn't they? There's quite a few things made out there.
There's a lot going on in Morocco, yeah.
Cool place.
The first time I'd witnessed a crew being in 54 degrees heat, and the cast were on sheepskins. But see, at that moment in time, I remember being like, I'm completely in awe of the guys that did this for real, and remembering the dudes that were there and doing it for real. Because cast and crew, it's cool, but if it gets too tough, sit down, have a drink of water. All right?
Get yourself in an aircon truck.
Get yourself in. It was tense, lots of tents and stuff. But it's like, there was guys here doing the same thing, fighting the Germans, and wow.
Yeah.
And I just remember being in awe of it, and like really getting involved and getting into the script, and because it was Stephen Knight that wrote the script, who wrote Peaky Blinders, so the writing was phenomenal. And it's just like looking at it, and then we're bubbled. So you've got your A group and your B group. That's the way you had to do it back then. Was your A group's your important group. Anyone goes down with COVID in your A group, filming stops. Anyone goes down in your B group, we can get through, but it'll be a challenge. So immediately they're like, right, health and safety advisor is going to go with the production crew. They'll be in the B group. You are going to go with the A group, because we feel like the cast are the ones that are going to be the challenge. And yeah, we're bubbled up in a hotel with them. And it was just, again, like, I'm in a position where there's not really any work, to now being in a group of A-list cast members on SAS Rogue Heroes. And I was just like, wow. But I had to know I need to pull my weight. And I remember I didn't do any of the UK stuff, so I came out Morocco. So straight away, all the guys are like, who's this guy? And I'm like, I just need you to remember to wear your masks, make sure you're not in groups, and just be safe. We're in lockdown. Like, this is big stuff. And at that point, a lot of people had no idea what it was. What is COVID? Like, I've not had COVID. Like, what's it going to be like? And even for me, not having it, I was like, I had done all this training, and I knew that there was a virus and you get symptoms and it's contagious and it can potentially kill people. Of course it can. Like, I was like, I need to take this very seriously. So at times I was shouting and at times I was like, would you just put on your mask and get away from them, please? And I think I must have came across a bit abrupt at times. Yeah. But for me, it was so tough because I had to report to people and say, this is what's going on.
If the thing goes Pete Tongue, it's you, isn't it?
It was all on me. The amount of money. And I remember the execs. Yeah. The execs were amazing. So much on my back because I found it so tough telling people who didn't quite understand and some skeptics as well, that you need to wear a mask, you need to do social distancing, you can't be in the same room. Like, just don't do it. Like, just don't do it. It was so tough. After a while, though, the medic, there was an incident with the medic, and I then became the medic in a way as well. So I've got the medic's in the crew hotel, I've got all the cast members, and I'm the medic for the cast members. And there was incidents of sand in the eyes, sand was irritating, like getting in everywhere. There was injuries. Me, myself, oh my God, we were playing rugby. And the ball, as Alfie Allen froze this rugby ball. And I remember catching it, but I remember hearing a crack. And I was like, oh my God. I looked, my fingers pointing in a whole different direction. Dislocated my finger. And I was like, oh my God, I've literally, my finger was pointing down here. So they've whisked me off to the hospital. Couldn't speak the language. I tried to understand certain words. I had Nazreen, who was part of my team. She was fantastic. She was sort of an interpreter for me, like telling me, so he's going to do this, he's going to do that, he's going to inject you this, and just snap my finger back in place. But there was like little bits of injuries happening like that all the time. And it was like just keeping on top of it. And then the lead cast, it was after breakfast one day, lead Jack O'Connell, he came up to me, and there was conversations I was having, because we were so close with each other. Like, I was getting nominations for these small roles I'd been doing, and the producing the feature film had been selected to play on Scottish television.
Yeah.
So that was also in the conversation. The role that I was supposed to do, I had to turn down because I got SAS Rogue Heroes. So I never got a role in it, but I still managed to organise locations and stuff for them before I flew out to Morocco. And then they sort of I took on a more executive role, executive producer, which meant I wasn't involved as much on the ground, but very much being updated about what was going on. Because I had SAS Rogue Heroes, which had taken up so much of my time. And I was giving it my all, because it was like, in my eyes, this is the biggest job that you've got right now, that you need to give everything. And I've always had that. I've always had that paratrooper mindset, like, give it all.
Yeah.
100%. And Jack, so he's like, I'm hearing you're involved in film and TV stuff, such as like feature films, and you've done a bit of acting. Yeah, I have, yeah. We have a dilemma. And I was like, all right. So there's this scene that they're going to drop because they can't quite get the cast out for it, but also it's just not a scene that they think they're going to keep. But all the cast wanted it to happen, and it was a fight scene. All the cast were on board. And he's like, I'm going to put your name forward, all right? And we'll see. So I remember it was like early in the morning, just after breakfast, I've got this massive ginger beard, right? It's red as anything. My hair's all messed up. And he's like, I'm going to take a picture, I'm going to send it to the director, right? And I was like, right, okay. I'd met the director umpteen times, but at this moment in time, I just was like, okay. So he sent off the picture, and then the producer was like, Alex, yeah, the director wants to meet you tomorrow. I was like, okay. In my head now, I'm like, Jesus, this is like fight or flight. Like, you either say yes to this and you got to give it everything, because this is the biggest platform you're going to be on now for acting. This is going to be one of your biggest roles to date. Or you're like, you're a bit nervous about it, you're going to be scared here. I don't think, and he's going to know straight away, nah, he's a bit scared, he's not really been in this platform. But I was like, this is it, I'm doing it. So I met him, and he's just like, tell me about you. Like, obviously, I know a bit about you, I've seen you, I've heard you shouting at people. Yeah, you're ex-military of some form. Yeah. Cool. And tell me, you must have been in a fight. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you must have been in a bar fight. I'm guessing there's all that interregimental banter, yeah?
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, Tom? Yeah, I've had my fair few of involvements and stuff like that. He's like, that's just what I wanted to hear. I kind of got right. I'm going to relax a little bit. Tom Shankly, the director, was so fantastic. He was kind of fluid, but he knew what he wanted to get.
Yeah.
His actors, he was happy for his actors to take it to where they wanted to take it, but still have his vision in it. He's just fantastic. And I was just like, yeah. He's like, cool. You're the man I want. I want you in this. You're going to be in the show. And I got my acting role. And I was just like, oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is happening. And he's like, cool, we'll send you the script, and we'll find out when it's going to film. But yeah, boom, you're going to be in this bar brawl. I was like, okay. So I've still got my COVID job on, COVID hat on. I've got this health and safety hat on. I've got this medic hat on. at the same time now I'm putting on this acting hat on, and I don't know how people took it, but they must have just been like, what is going on? Who is this guy? What is happening?
Relaying the rogue galaxies.
Yeah, they must have just been like, even me, I was like, wow, like I'm landing on my feet.
Yeah.
And but I knew that if I had messed this up, that was it, done. Acting's a goner. So I got invested in the script as much as I could in the scene it was, and Theo Barclay Biggs, who plays Reg Seekins in it, is the person I'm fighting. And yeah, it was like, right. I remember already, because of the job role I had, there was a bit of separation between me and them. They were kind of like, that's what Alex did. He just shouts at people, and he's like, he's constantly on it. He's always like wanting you to wear a mask, and you're not allowed to talk to anyone. And, oh, that's this guy. So there was already that, like, they probably would have wanted to punch me in the face a few times. So I think that's what helped a little bit in the role. And I remember on the day just being like, right, I'm going to distance myself a little bit from Theo. Not so much method acting, but I wanted to create the distance, because the show is me literally taking the piss out of the SAS. And even for me as a character at that point, I cringed a little bit inside, because they were like, right, you basically, they rock up, they're in their sandberries, and this is the first time the sandberries have been worn. And I was a Highlander, I was Scots Guards Highlander. And yeah, there's this, you're just going to mug him off. All right, but this is Reg Seekins. He's going to do you in. I was like, right. But we want you to have a bit of a to and a fro. I was like, right, okay. And I remember in the scene, the way it was written, right, was they come in and it's like, right, who are these guys? Giving them a stare down. What's the white bonnet representing then, ladies? And are you Pioneer Corps? Was written, and Stephen Knight's writing is fantastic, right? But I think for me at that point, if I was a para-reg guy and someone had came up to me and went, are you Pioneers? I'm just going to go, no, I'm not Pioneers. What are you talking about? Like, I was like, I need to hit this hard. So I came up with Girl Scouts. So I was like, right, what's the white bonnet represent, ladies? Are you Girl Scouts? And I remember Phil, I don't know if he was expecting me. He just went, like, what the fuck did you just say to me? And I made the scene. I feel like it really did make that moment.
Yeah.
And Tom Shanklin, the director, was quick up. He was like, right, only thing we need to do is we need to check when the Girl Scouts was invented, and we need to just check the history on this, right? Because I understand what you've done there, we just need to check it. And I remember getting yeah, keep going. So I did it again. We did it a few times. And I remember we were fighting, and I hope Phil's all right with this, but I remember I hadn't done much screen combat. But Neil Finnegan, the stunt coordinator, amazing dude, ex-Falcons veteran, he did the parachute jump in The Dark Knight Rises, the airplanes, in the mid-air hijack. He did that jump. Wow. For real. This guy's an incredible dude, and he took me under his wing, and I leaned on him a lot. But yeah, I was a little bit of an unsure with the whole screen combat, and it's like, you're going to give it, you're going to fight this, right? It's cool. So we do a take, and I remember the headbutt worked out so well, but after the Phil headbutt, a swing came, and he caught me right on the nose. Yeah, and threw me back in this chair, and I'm just in the chair, dazed. But I actually remember at that moment in time, I remember being thrown against the wall. It was like that dazed moment. I was like, what is going on? And it was straight away like, boff, he's your childhood, have a bit of that. And I was like, fuck. So it threw me off a little bit. But I got back up, and I was like, right, I'm all right. And I had a wee bit of a thingy there. And he was like, I can't believe I just did that. I am so sorry. I was like, mate, you know what? It's fine. Let's do it again. And then we did it again and again. And we're proper going at it. I gave it to him. And I was just like, I need to give this 100%, because this is where I can either flop or something.
It's an opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've been presented, so you've got to go for it, isn't it?
It really did. It paid off the back of that scene. I think it's currently, there was a video I saw, me and Theo were always sending each other little things, and it had like 1.4 million views on this small scene that it was. And even for me, Phil, mate, I have a massive respect for the military and a massive respect for the SAS itself, right? So for me to be able to go in a scene, right, and slag them off, I remember on the inside being like, why are you doing this? Like, oh my God. And then they're like, take the beret off his head. And I'm like, no, I can't do this. And I was like, and I think in the scene, you actually see me go, here we go. Like, I'm going to take the beret off his head. I remember doing that and going, give me that. So I take it off his head and I'm cringing inside like, I can't believe I just done it. But I'm doing it. And it worked out so well. It worked out. I got my agent off the back end of it. And then straight away, after the back end of doing SAS, I had all this stuff happening. I was so stressed. There was so many phone calls. I had the liaison happening with the UK, Morocco. COVID stuff was going on. We were in lockdown. And I've just done one of the biggest roles to date that I felt like I was going to have ever.
Yeah.
And I felt I gave it 100% and it came out so well. Got my agent and coming back, I got a film not long off the back end. And that for me was like, you need to give this acting a good go and you need to give it 100%.
Yeah.
There's no shying back. So yeah, I got this film, which was the one filming in the Isle of Skye. Crazy story though, because I had already been doing locations for a while, I got a phone call. This is before I secured the film role. Yeah, we want you to come. So I was back already in Scotland from Morocco. He was like, why don't you come work on location? You'll be an assistant location manager on this film in the Isle of Skye. You're good with remote. I remember hearing about the Out of Darkness and the stuff going on there. So let's do it. So I became an assistant location manager and falling into place. It was an international feature film made by a German actress. And it was a massive casting director I really wanted to impress. So with the fact I got it, I was insane. But the location team that I was working with had no idea about the acting because SAS hadn't came out yet. So it was hush-hush. My agent, when I'm already working, I'm already in pre-prep, I'm already helping locations and stuff. My agent's like, I've got this opportunity, I've got an audition tape for you to do it. And can you do it for me? It's for a really good casting director. We need to impress him. I was like, yeah, I'll give him my all. So did it. Didn't put the two together at this point. And they sent it off and they came back. Got the role. Straight away, inbox is filling up and it's like falling into place. This is the film, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. So I'm looking at the names. I'm like, that's the job I'm working on right now in locations. So it's like, oh my God, what am I going to say to the team? And it's like, I don't know what to do here. But what happened was we're in this location in Glasgow because we did a few different locations. The director, who's the main actress, who's the lead in the film, gets out the car, runs at me and is like, congratulations, like you've got it. And I just looked down at my boss and he was like, what's going on here? I was like, I auditioned for a role in this and I got it. He was like, shut up. I was like, yeah. He's like,
you get a double bubble then.
Double bubble. It happened again after SAS. So I was the assistant location manager on it as well as being a character in the film. Not in the UK at all yet, but it has done everywhere else in the cinemas. So I'm yet to see how that progresses, but there's a lot of great names on it. And that was, that's how acting came up. That's how it happened.
So you're on the Rogue Heroes, this present one as well?
Yeah, so season 2, I got asked, so Bags, Bear Arms was like, right, we want a team of guys that can be a support to the leads in certain positions, but you're also going to be driving. There'll be a lot of aerial shots where you're effectively them, a lot of standing in stuff, but also you're going to be firing, you're going to do all the fighting. I was, oh, wow. He's like, and I want to fight for you to come back. And I don't know if he had a little bit of, I gave you the job in season 1 and it was a bloody train wreck, and I know it was tough for you. A lot was going on. And I don't know if you felt maybe, I'm going to give you this opportunity because I feel bad for giving that film. But I was like, mate, I want to work with you, mate. I want to, this is what I envisaged when I did that film in Glencoe, like helping you out best I can. So yeah, of course. And he was like, it's going to be a fight. And I was like, I know it is, because I was a antagonist in season 1 where I'm taking the beret off the SAS and I'm slagging him off. Yeah. How's it going to work with me coming in and being part of the SAS in season 2? Massive risk. And I think still to this day, I can't thank the execs and the producers and Bags, everyone that fought for me, because they literally took a risk upon making that decision of putting me in season 2. But with Paddy Main taking charge, it might have worked out a little bit with this individual who wants a fighting force and he wants the warriors to fight. Yeah. Would bring in the guy that's slagging them off and gets beaten up by them in the first place. It could have worked. But yeah, I just remember them going, right, yeah, you can come in and you're in the full thing. It wasn't an acting role as such, because there's very few things that I do that is on screen in my face, but I'm very much there in the background all the way, doing all the driving. We're doing, I remember being in Leavesden Tank in the landing craft for like a week, bobbing along the water, doing all the shots, and then into the quarry, we're doing the first initial invasion into Sicily. I remember working with Mark Rowley. He was like, right, we're going to take over Tourmaline and I want the Scottish guys. We're going to try and get a little trio of Scottish dudes here. And actually, looking back now, thinking the character that Jock McDermott is this crazy Scottish guy that's fighting with Reg Seekins. And also he's got me in his team, who's this guy from season 1 who was also fighting Reg Seekins. It just seemed to work.
Yeah, it just seems to have teed up nicely for you, doesn't it?
I feel like the director, because I remember meeting Stephen Wolfenden, the director, and he shook my hand and he was like, it's great to meet you. I like what you did in season 1. And I was like, wow. It's great to have you on board again. And they did make a point of establishing me sitting beside Mark Rowley. I don't know if they meant it intentionally, but they certainly took that established shot of there's the 2 Scottish guys.
Yeah.
And I hope that, fingers crossed, if there is another one upcoming, that gets remembered in a way, and I am trying to fight for that, to take the acting seriously and moving forward with it, to see hopefully if it will happen again in the next one.
Well, so that's pretty cool stuff. So moving forward now, what is your ambition now? Do you want to stay on the acting side of life now, or would you just dip in and out of both, dependent where the money is?
I was literally have been hooked with the acting stuff.
Yeah.
And even when I focused on it at the beginning, to very much enjoying it, the difficulty that I'm finding is work is up, is down, is you might have a role, you might not have a role. You might work for 5 years.
I can imagine it's very
you might
much
never
like
work
that.
again. And it's now coming to the point where I've literally been in a position where I am like, right, I'm holding off. I'm auditioning, so that's good. People are seeing me, but the yeses are not coming. And the thing with acting is rejection, the word no. You sometimes don't even get the word no, you just get nothing.
No. Seriously, yeah. It's not just in the acting world. Do you know what I mean? I've had, the television stuff. I've had. Do you know what I mean? It's like the phone doesn't even go. They don't let you know. Like, do you know what I mean?
You're just sitting in this like no man's land.
And I've not even been down the acting. I'd love to go down the acting world. I think I'd love to have a go at it. Like, do you know what I mean? Just to see if I could do it.
Give it a bash.
But then it's the opportunity. You've got to be, I don't know, right place at the right time, where you've got to push yourself into the right. Do
you know what I think? Speaking about what I've just spoke about, right place and right time seems to come up quite a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But if you one thing you have been with everything you've ever done, and I think this stems from when you was a kid, you've never taken your foot off the gas, have you?
Never.
You've always tried to be punching forward. You've always been trying to move in the direction. You've always tried to sort yourself out.
Yeah. Somebody did say to me as well. She was like a very close friend of mine. Said, one thing I have noticed about you is you're always juggling 4 or 5 things at one time. It's like you can't stop. What happens when you stop? And I do seep into a very extreme low.
I do when I've got nothing on. I hate having nothing on. I'd sooner invent something. I'd volunteer for something. I'd do it for nothing. I don't care. But you've got to have stuff to do, haven't you?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I feel that's the type of person I am. And even now, I haven't worked for a very long time. So it's like, yes, the acting's there, and I'd love to push that forward, but I need to think about work, like working, I need to think about what am I going to have to do now that is going to help pay the bills, is going to help me live. Because I went through a time when I was juggling loads of stuff, and it was through, I think, when I was learning to do the acting and through the security, where I went through a bit of homelessness because I was consistently juggling so much that I wasn't actually making a regular income. It was like days on and off here and there. And then the acting classes was free. I wasn't getting paid for that. I was effectively paying to do it.
Yeah.
So I literally would go for days of not eating and not actually sleeping in a bed because I was in my car. I would rather be in my car, and I just needed to act. Like I wanted to do it. So it was that risk factor, which I don't promote. Don't do it. Don't go homeless and sleep in your car just because you want to act. But
sometimes it is genuinely needs must, isn't it? If you want to do it that badly, there's always something to be taken away to achieve something, isn't there? I mean, it don't. Unless you're extremely lucky, and I've never been that lucky, it don't land on your plate, does it?
No.
I mean, so there's going to be a sacrifice to go where you want to go, and that I think that's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always say to my kids, life's number one lesson. It's not fair, and it ain't fair. You know what I mean? But you got to try and level up yourself. You got to try and make it as fair as you can for yourself, haven't you?
Yeah. You literally, like, what was it? The quote? I think it was Winston Churchill. Was, if you're going through hell, just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that is the way, isn't it? Because it's not. If you stop, you get consumed.
Yeah.
If you carry on, there's a chance you might come out the other side. You might actually even do all right, Evan. You seem to do all right.
I do seem to be landing. Yes.
Listen, I hope you become a friend of Force Radio, and I hope you become a friend of the show, and a friend of in the community that we've tried to build here. I will. I can see us doing a bit more with you. I can see us doing some other stuff with you. I'd love to pursue a few avenues.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'm more on board. This is the first one I've done.
Yeah.
Ever talking about myself ever.
It's a fascinating story. Do you know what? As well, it's an inspirational story as well, because you know that you have come from something. You know that's there's been some hardship in your life. You know what I mean? And yet you're still here. You're alive and kicking. You.
Yeah, and there was times where I could have went the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely.
In childhood, especially.
You know, you young people watching this will go. Tell you what, there's a chance. You know, if I can fill them with air, there's a chance 100%. I'm out of here. Like, do you know what I mean? So for that, I thank you for bringing that onto the show because that's what we like here. You know what I mean?
I did feel I've never done it before. I've never discussed, even with some people, about where I've come from. I don't think many people know about it. But I think now I'm becoming more relaxed into it to know that where I am, it sort of did merge me into the person I am today. Yeah. The choices I made and that.
Everything, you know, I come from a similar thing myself, you know what I mean? And, you know, I sometimes say that, you know, even this thing where I deal with disaster, as it were, my old man used to beat me so badly that I knew if I went limp, he'd stop beating me because he thought he'd killed me.
Wow. And
that was literally, you know, when I was really small. But I've carried that off in another way by now looking at thinking, well, it can't get that bad. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for me, it was a small win because I controlled the situation because he stopped beating me. And although, like, you know, at the time you could parachute off a snake's arsehole, like, do you know what I mean? You're that low, all right? You've still got this thing where I've had a small win. And I think life is just a series of small wins that accumulate into bigger wins. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you're doing. You effectively started with nothing. You've had your lows, your highs. Lows are still to come, and they will.
Yeah,
but you deal with them by realising that fill those air, up you go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I am just going to keep going and going and going and pushing where I want to get into.
Yeah, no, inspirational. Listen, thanks for coming on.
Well, I'm going
to nip us in the bud here, but listen.
It's great to me.
A great interview. Enjoyed myself.